is going to be a backtest tutorial focused around the Sharpshooter EA. So you can also follow this tutorial and use it for any purchased EA or any free EA that you have. I suggest that you follow these steps and do your backtesting like this because it will give you the most accurate representation of the algorithm that you're actually using. If you do backtesting with your broker data or in a different way, it's almost going to be useless. I think that this is the only way to make a backtest useful in your trading is by doing it in these steps. So however you look at backtesting, it's always going to be a projection. And the reason for that is because every broker has different spreads, different commission, different execution speeds, and slippage. And these are the things that can change results depending on your situation at your broker. So it's always a good idea to find the lowest possible spreads, even if that means a higher commission at your broker, because lower spreads will always mean better results. Okay? So the first thing I want to start with is backtests aren't everything. Again, it is only a projection, and it's a roadmap to how the algorithm may trade in the future. Okay, so that being said, MetaTrader 5 is where you should be doing your backtesting. It's the best place. It's newer than MetaTrader 4. It has a lot more variables that allow flex within the backtest to give you more accurate representation of how trading should be. So the way that the first thing that we should do is I want to pull up what you guys actually need. And MetaTrader 5. And I use a specific MetaTrader 5 download or build. And it's through the actual metaquotes.net. You can just this link is actually in the description below this video. So you can want to click that and open it. So we'll open and it will look like something like this. You can see it at the bottom of my screen here. And you can just open up a demo account and do your backtesting there. So why do I use MetaQuotes MT5? And I recently only started doing this only a few months ago. If you go to help and you go up the top and you go under the About tab, you'll see that it's 3337. So that is the latest build. And they actually MetaQuotes updates their MetaTrader 5 a lot more frequent than, say, a broker does. You'll see that your broker probably has a much lower version than the current build of MetaQuotes. And so I want the latest build to do all my backtesting in, all the changes and adjustments that they make in MetaTrader 5. And I think it's the best approach. I actually saw differences in backtesting in MetaQuotes MetaTrader 5 versus MetaTrader 5 at, say, my broker at Turnkey Forex, because there are slight differences from the broker MetaTrader 5 compared to MetaQuotes, and I found that the MetaQuotes is much more accurate in representation than any other broker MetaTrader 5 software. So download MetaQuotes MT5, it's free, and just open a demo account to do your testing. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is, the next link is under the description of this video, is earview.net. Now there are multiple places that you can get tick data. So data that's close to institutional level. And the data that we want is from Duca's copy. It's much higher and much more accurate. There's less holes. It has a better representation of spread, and it's a lot more clear. It's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, and it's definitely not institutional level. Some institutions will pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for high quality data that goes way, way back. So earview.net is the best and pretty much the easiest way to get involved in high quality data. And then they allow for a free trial at the top. You just fill in your name, and the free trial expires after 2 weeks. And then you do have to buy it after that. And that's up to you. If you want to, after you do your back testing, if you want to purchase it, $99 a year, and I think that's pretty much it. You can also do other plans. I'm not affiliated with these guys. I don't plan to be, but you know, if you want to purchase the data, you can. But I like how they give you a chance to try it out. Okay, so those are the two things that you're going to need in this tutorial. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is once you open up a demo account and you install your EA. I'm not going to show you how to install your EA in this video. You're going to have to do that, find that in another video. We've got plenty of RFT videos that show how to install the sharpshooter or other algorithms. Okay, so you want to go up to the top, go under View, and click on Strategy Tester. Okay, so it's going to pull up down here. Overview, you want to do the visualizer or visualize. So just pop up the options here, and you want to select your algorithm right there. So we have the sharpshooter selected. And here we can see the symbol. So your actual broker symbols are going to be displayed right here. We don't want those because we don't want to use broker data. That's not very accurate. It's not going to be good enough. We actually want to pull our data from earview.net. And you can see what that actual earview software looks like. It looks something like this. And you can see all the pairs that we can download data from them. You can see at the very top, you've got the majors, and you can already see that I've downloaded the Euro-US dollar data. So 7,000 days. You can actually see the information right there. It says most recent download date, which was actually yesterday. And it shows that they have earliest download or oldest is 2003 to most recent, which is 2022. So you can go ahead and just click the download button right here, and it will start to download in this window over here. And it could take a while depending on your internet speed. It's not the fastest download in the world either. But you want to make sure it's the Dukas copy. It's the best data that you can get out of all these providers. Some of the others are okay, like HIS data is okay. You can try some of the others if you want, but the standard is usually Dukas copy. Okay, so once you download that, you want to click on these little dots right here. And you want to import the ticks. So you want to make sure that you have the start date before, around the oldest data that they have, and then the end date, which is the current most recent download, which is 7/14. You want to select MetaTrader 5, like you see here. Everything else looks okay, and then you want to select right here 2 plus 2. The GMT offset. So the GMT offset for MetaTrader 5, MetaTrader 4 is typically plus 2. And I don't think it really makes a difference, but you can do European or a US. I have both, and I'm going to install the US right now. And then you just press Start Export. And you can put all your downloaded data into a specific folder. I have it all downloading to a specific folder. You should be aware that they're pretty big. So they're 9 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes, 14 gigabytes. So these are pretty big files because it's a lot of data depending on how far back you want to go. Okay, so once you do the start export, you'll see it over here, and it will pop up into my data folder. Okay, so once it's in my data folder, I pull back up my broker, and I want to install or import that data that I downloaded from earview. So the best way to do that is to go up to, let's see, under, I can remember, symbols. Okay, so it's under View, Symbols, and this is where you want to create a custom symbol. All right, so I don't think I've done it yet. So yeah, we're going to install the US data. So just press Euro USD. Okay, so press OK. And we want to name this something different than just the Euro US dollar. So you can just do tick. I'm going to say .tick.us. Because this is the European, as we remember right here, doing the exports, DST, I was doing US instead of European. I typically do European, but in this case I'm doing US. So that's why I have it titled like that. Press OK. Okay, so you can just see right here, and now we are going to import the data. So you can see that it's now listed on our broker. So we want to go under ticks, and we want to import ticks. So go to browse, and I already have my data pulled up of my data folder where I downloaded this data, and you can see this is where it is right here. Euro US dollar GMT plus 2 EU. Oh, that's the EU one. So where is the USD one? Here it is. Okay, so Euro US dollar GMT plus 2 US right there. Press open, and then we just press OK. You can see the data is showing right here. And just press, you don't need to do anything else, just press OK. and it will take some time to import. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video while this is happening. Okay, so our data is now finished. As you can see right here, it shows the data running all the way up to 7:15, which is just today. So that means that we did everything checked out, and we can just press OK. Okay, so now we want to make sure that our data is showing here in the symbol. You can see that euro-US-tick.us is now there. And we want to select as far back as possible if we want to do a big long test. So I'm selecting all the way back to 2000, even though it looks like the data runs from 2003. But it doesn't matter. It will just pick up for where it starts. And then I'm going through 7/15, 2022. So the sharpshooter runs on the M15, so we want to make sure that that's selected. And delays. We want to make sure that delays are anywhere from 100 to 200 milliseconds. That is a pretty good idea of execution speed. We don't want it to be zero latency. I don't even know why they have that. It's pretty much useless. And so I think that 100 ms or 200 ms is more realistic. So every tick is what we want to use. We don't want to use every tick based on real ticks, 1 minute OHLC, or any of these others. The top is the most accurate and most representative of true to life trading. So anything below, the further that you go down, the less accurate that it gets. So every tick based on real ticks is not the best one. Like everybody thinks for some reason that this is the best one. The reason why is because it is actually the most perfect. Every tick is the most, every tick based on real ticks is the most perfect. But that's not how broker execution works. It's not perfect. It's not. We have slippage. We have slowness, and there's a bunch of other factors. So we don't want it to use every tick because it's not realistic based on real ticks. We want to use the top one, which is just every tick. There's more variable and flex within that setting. Okay, so I'm starting with a $3,000 deposit, which is the minimum for the sharpshooter, and we're using 501 leverage. Although we can use 200 or 100 as well. 50 might even work, but make sure that you have some decent leverage with whatever strategy that you're using, that you have this selected right. All right, so we have optimization is disabled here, and visual mode I think is clicked automatically. It goes slower, so I would make sure to uncheck that. If you want to just do a fast test, especially if you're doing one that's longer. But if you want to see how the actual algorithm trades, then I would select this. It will pop up, and you'll be able to see the trades go in and out of the market. So when it comes to algorithms and doing testing, if you want to go through the EA settings, and you want to disable or click on DigUI and make it false. And everything else that's visual on chart, make it false, because the test will run faster. The backtest will run faster if you do that. If you keep these true, it will run, but it will just take longer. So you want your backtest of the sharpshooter to look something like this. As you can see right here, this is a 19-year backtest for the sharpshooter. Yeah, it does have some losses that are that happen, but you can still see that it's very, very much profitable. Okay. So you can also change any of the settings that you want, but I'm running as default right now with a 35% stop loss. Okay, so now that we're ready, we're going to run a test again, and we're going to pause the video, and we'll finish, and I'll show you what the test looks like, or I'll show you what it looks like while we're taking, or while it's active for a little bit, and then wait till it to be done. Okay, so you can see that we're waiting for the actual test to start. Okay, here we go. So the test is now started, and you can see that it's moving pretty quickly. This is the bar that's showing you how much the test is gone, and it has to get to this point. It's giving you an estimate of how long it's gonna take. So roughly about 4 minutes, but I think it's gonna be faster than that. Okay, so we're gonna pause the video and come back when it's done. Okay, so our backtest has now completed, and you can see that our $3,000 balance starting in 2003, since that's when the data was available, has now turned into over $2 million. So 2,123,000 is looking like where it was. It did hit 2,347,000 at some point, but it did have a loss recently showing in backtest. What's interesting about this loss is that this loss doesn't always show depending on your balance size and the profit and the spread. So the spread here with the data from Dukas copy is not exactly the same spread that you'll be getting at your broker. So this situation that you see right here, this loss that just happened last month, was barely a loss in this data here. And if you had a raw spread or an ECN account, that what you see here may not have taken place. So that's what I was talking about earlier, is that this is still a projection. The lower that your spreads are at any broker, the cleaner this equity curve is going to look with the sharpshooter algorithm. And since we can't use the spreads that we are seeing right now across, from 2003 to now, and we're still using spreads that are showing at Dukas copy with this data, it means that we're still only getting a projection because we might get lower spreads at our broker, which means that losses like this that you see at this point may not even have taken place. Because depending on the spread, the lower spread means that we can close out trades faster. All right? So I want that to be known to everybody because the spread matters. It matters in backtesting and it matters in forward trading as well. All right, so the next part that we want to do is we want to save the data here. So you can also see the backtest and information here, and it looks like it's sort of freezing. You can also see when the trades close out, the max holding time. So that's why MetaTrader 5 is nice, because it shows you some other details that you see here. So the max average holding time is 1 hour and 56 minutes, and the minimum holding time is 26 seconds. So the longest is 34 hours and 45 minutes. You can see where the good majority are actually closing out. So this is just for this algorithm here. You see the data is 99% modeling quality here. You can see all the information here. So I want to talk about the stats a little bit more. So this is the total net profit right here. So you can see 2,100,000. So it's not the gross profit because we're also including the losses, the trade losses within the backtest as well. So the drawdown is maybe a little bit confusing because they have balance drawdown, they have equity drawdown relative, and they have balance drawdown maximal. What you should be looking at, and then the most important one is this one right here, equity drawdown relative, because this is based on the balance size, and as the account compounds and grows, you should be looking at this as your total drawdown for the entire test. If we want to see more details, you can actually just right click and do the report, and we want to do that in HTML. So I want to save this, and we want to find the folder that we just created for it. So if we scroll and we want to do sharpshooter backtest. So I just created this folder on my desktop, and that's where I'm going to put this backtest. So sharpshooter backtest is what I'm just going to call it, but you can call it whatever you want and press save. Okay, so it's going to probably open up in my Google Chrome once it's done. But the thing is that it could take a little bit because we are dealing with 42,000, almost 43,000 trades from this backtest right here. And a good backtest that's representative or like a good strategy shows us a lot of taken trades. The more trades that a strategy has in its sample size, the better it's going to likely be in trading in the real market because it has a lot of different trading scenarios under its belt. So you can scroll down here. Sorry about all my tabs. That's just how I run Google. But you can see that this is the strategy. You can see the image of it, and you can see all the details here and all the settings and more of the information that we just talked about. Okay, so that is how to run a backtest using the sharpshooter in MetaTrader 5. All right, so I also wanted to add that if your backtest doesn't look like this using the sharpshooter, and it looks like it has a lot more losses and doesn't have an equity curve that looks similar to this running a backtest all the way starting back in 2003 to current date. If it doesn't look like this, something is wrong with your data. And it would be a good idea to go to the view, the symbols, and to actually delete the data that you have in here, and maybe even reinstall your MetaQuotes MetaTrader 5 as well if it doesn't look like this. You should be able to emulate what you see here. It should look very similar with some small differences, but you should have a very similar trade amount. It should have a similar equity and balance curve here. And so to actually remove these from here, you got to go over to the navigator, and you actually have to remove the data from there. So I had to close out the actual chart itself, and what you do here is, okay, there we go. So now I can actually hide it and get rid of it. Okay, so once it's hidden, I can go back into the view, and I can actually remove and delete this custom symbol if I want, and then reinstall it a clean version from the Tick Data Manager here. So you can just import it again and go from there. All right, I hope that you guys are able to emulate this kind of backtest to give you an idea of what to expect. And you should do it in this way. This is the best way to test any algorithm. It doesn't have to be the sharpshooter, but if you test any kind of algorithm in this way, you'll start to see that the results are very different here than compared to using your broker data or a different MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5 software. This is the best idea for testing EAs. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody.